It's time for Own United Kangas Footy Report. It is a big weekend because we're back, and we're back playing in New South Wales. If ever there was an interesting conundrum to competitions where most sides are in Victoria with a couple over the border, and then to come up with a programming that gets everyone back playing, gets crowds there, it is a fantastic achievement by Sunraysia Football to do it. Here it is to talk about it is Dean Jardine, who is the coach of the Own United Kangas. G'day, Dean. How are you?
Good, thanks, mate.
Hey, this is really well put together by the administrators of Sunraysia. The 4 games to be scheduled, 2 of which were to be scheduled anyway for this round to happen in New South Wales, moving the other 2 games over the border, it effectively means that we can get back to some normality in country footy.
It does, mate, yeah. We've been a bit lucky, I suppose, in that sense, that we can move the games over the border and get back into it after about 3 weeks off, I think it's been. So everyone's definitely excited to have footy back.
Certainly excited, and I'll tell you what, there was some form for your side before the break. You just finally put it together, beat the top side Imperials 9-14 to 6-11. And Dean, as a coach, I mean, all year you've been coming on this segment and you've had all the frustration, you've had the underbull loss by point, you've had to front up. Suddenly you get to front up with a win and then they stop playing footy on you.
Yeah, it's always there's always something, mate, in footy, isn't there? There's always something going on. So, obviously the layoff hasn't been ideal. We sort of just found that found our form and what we've been looking for. We knew we were capable of it, but obviously a bit of a new look side, a lot of young guys in there. So to find it against him, we played a really good game for 4 quarters, and obviously, to have it all taken away again. But it's been a good week on the track, mate. I think the guys are all keen to get back out there and, prove that, hopefully we can front up and do it again.
Yeah, this is the next conundrum you have. Out at training, you've obviously got to get the group together. You find out that the Melbourne-based players can't play. I think you lose the Dean Staunton, Jesse Valance, Nankervis and Big Jamar. So the 2 big ruckmen in Nankervis and Jamar are out. They're 2 big out. So do you cover them with, I guess you've had Toddy Barker out with concussion. He'll come back in. How do you cover off, though, on those giants of players that you're losing this weekend?
Yeah, well, I think, mate, we've had a bit of an interrupted season regardless anyway with injury and whatnot. So we're sort of every week there's been changes. It hasn't been ideal, but that's just the way it is and where we're at. So from that Imps game, I think we've only got 2 changes. So, we're going in Saturday more than confident. I think the local boys would, if we front up with the same mindset as we did, we know that we can well and truly knock Robin Houston off.
Yeah, it's a really big one. I know that you've also got a couple of good players coming back, Jake Cress. And also, what about this? A young fella out of the under-16s by the name of Joel Grace, who, I'll tell you what, his dad could play a couple of good handy games of football or 2. He makes his debut at senior level and he joins young stars like Hulland, who came in a couple of weeks back. This is a terrific debut for this young fellow to join senior ranks of footy.
It is, mate. He's a ripping kid. He's an absolute star. He dominates his junior grades. He's had a big pre-season with the senior guys. He's actually grown into quite a big kid now. So he's probably been ready for a few weeks. We're just waiting for the right opportunity. So we think, obviously with the way things are and opportunities presented itself, and he's well and truly right to go against Robinvale, who, they've got a lot of young kids as well, so it's probably a good game to bring him in and give him a taste of what it's all about.
I tell you what, I bet his dad was happy when he got his name read out at training on Thursday night.
Yeah, well, it was a bit of a different one, mate, because of the COVID rules in Victoria. She was no spectators at training, so but no doubt they'll be very excited when they get there Saturday and get to watch him playing the seniors.
I'll tell you what, wouldn't it have been awful had there been no crowds in your comp, like say in the Wimmera comp, which are going to play with no crowds for parents and family in that situation? That to me is one of the real deficits of what's happening. I do also have to ask you about the players that live outside the 70k bubble. I know down at Patchewallick and Speed, they're actually 70k out of the, so further out of from the border, more than 70k is what I'm saying. So therefore, they have to, I guess they'd get a permit or something to play?
Yeah, there's I think there's a travel declaration form they have to fill out. I think it just clears up that they haven't left the area in the last 14 days. So yeah, obviously we're the only club that's affected by it. So I'm sure everyone's happy to get them sorted. If it means having footy back for a week or two, hopefully until things return to normal in Victoria.
Yeah, settle down, that's for sure. Robinvale Euston's your opponent at senior football. You're playing them at Euston Oval, which is in New South Wales. Wentworth Oval, the George Gordon, I should say, I think it's at Dareton, they will have Irimple visit. Imperials will move over the border with South Mildura folk, and they'll play at Goal, which of course is one of the Millewa football clubs. And then Redcliffs and Merbeam will be moved to the George Gordon on the Sunday to play their matches. Some very creative thinking from Sunraysia that people were in the board and committee. So beating Robinvale Euston, I think you can do that in the senior grade. Coming into the reserve grade, this is going to be interesting. Has it tested your depth? Have you got enough players to play in the reserves?
Yeah, we have, mate. Yeah, we've been a bit fortunate in that sense. We've got a few guys back into the resis from injury and whatnot as well. So I think the boys are quietly confident as well. Obviously, they've got a big challenge, but they have got a pretty handy side together, so it'll be a good challenge for them.
Absolutely, and of course the reserve side has made its way right on the edge of that top four. They are in 6th place, but they're at 3-2, and with 3 wins. Likewise, the 3rd place South Mildura has 3 wins, and Robinvale's are 2-4. It's a must-win for your reserves. Who do you expect to step up to the plate in that grade and really star in a side that has to win this weekend?
Yeah, well, there's been young Jimmy Phillips, mate. He's been recently returned from away, and he's been training really hard. So I expect him to really start to find his feet. Obviously, Ryan Muir and Oscar Smith will ruck for them. So they're another 2 guys that are obviously played a lot of senior footy. So they'll hopefully give the guys in the middle obviously first use. And Ryan Monaghan's another one that's dropped back for a run, so he'll, no doubt he'll enjoy getting back, have a full game and a fair income hit out in the midfield. So I'd say he'll be one that Robinvale will have to keep a bit of an eye on.
All right, we're going to be watching to see those lads. They certainly are a real chance of playing finals. In the 18 competition, you play the 3rd place Robinvale Euston. You're in 6th place. Young Joel Grace goes up into senior footy, and of course that is a big loss for you. How do you reckon the lads will go?
Yeah, that will be a big loss for them, but I think the boys, they're saying they've had a few guys out with injury, and I think they're due to get a couple back this week. I haven't actually seen the side yet because we didn't have the teams last night, but I think no doubt they'll have their chances again. They've been really competitive for games this year, so obviously you throw a couple of players back in there, which I think they'll have. I think the boys will turn up and be keen to get out there, and they'll give it a good shake as well.
Yeah, certainly will. 16s, will you have a side on the park this weekend for 16s, or will it go just down to the 14s?
No, it'll just drop down to the 14s, mate. Yeah, obviously just with numbers and making things work the best to suit. So, no 16s this weekend.
All right, it's a really important weekend to get your season, not, I guess, necessarily on track, but another win would keep you in touch with that top 4. And stranger things have happened. A good end of the season, getting all your players, the fit players, back onto the park. Yourself and Bradley being able to coach this side and to get the development into players like young Joel Grace, like young Hulland. These are kids that are coming through this year. We're going to see a very good second half to the season, I reckon, for the blue and white boys out on the track there at Oyen and Underbull. Well, I look forward to talking to you again about it next week. Hopefully, Dean, with a win under your belt and more good news from out of the Kangas.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Hopefully, we can reproduce what we did, and it should be a good weekend.